What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be going through my top 10 quarterbacks for the 2025 college football season. Now, let's get right into this video. At number 10, I have Oklahoma, former Washington State quarterback John Mateer. This is a guy that had a breakout year for Washington State in 2024, and I expect him to take it to another level in 2025. I have some questions with Oklahoma football. I don't know how good their offensive line will be. But I do think John Mateer is a top 10 quarterback in college football, regardless of how good Oklahoma is next year. And I do think John Mateer will help elevate Oklahoma, even if that means only winning 7 or 8 games, because the SEC schedule they have next year is a gauntlet. This is a guy that had a great year for Washington State, throwing for 3,100 yards and 29 touchdowns. He's also a great dual threat option. He ran for 826 yards on the ground with 15 more scores, and he will also follow his offensive coordinator to Oklahoma. I expect him to be one of the better quarterbacks in the nation. I have him at number 10. At number 9, I have Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt. I do think Sam Leavitt was a bit overhyped, but regardless, he's a pretty good quarterback. He has a great offensive system to work with under Kenny Dillingham, and as a redshirt freshman, he threw for 24 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, and he was paired with one of the best running backs in the country in Cam Scatterbo, and they went to the Big 12 championship game and won it. He surprised defenses with his ability to evade tackles and pick up huge yards with his legs. He ran for 443 yards and 5 touchdowns. He will also have his best wide receiver back and a good offensive line. He will be missing Cam Scatterbo, though. Some people have Sam Leavitt in their top 5, but I think I need to see more from him. Right now, I have him at number 9. This is probably a hot take, but at number 8, I have Jake Retzlaff. I expect him to be a very improved quarterback next year, and I think he's underrated. He has all the tools he needs to be a top quarterback in the nation. He just needs to be more consistent. He threw for nearly 3,000 yards with 20 touchdowns while running for 400 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. His completion percentage will need to come up a bit, but this is a guy that got injured near the end of last season. He was fighting injury. If it wasn't for him fighting injury, I actually think BYU could have won the Big 12 over Arizona State, and I think Jake Retzlaff does not get enough credit. He's really a great leader for a BYU team that is not that talented, and with the full healthy season, I think he could be a great quarterback. I have him at number 8. At number 7, I have former Georgia quarterback and now Miami quarterback Carson Beck. He was the most expensive transfer portal quarterback, and if reports are true, he is gaining $4 million to play the 2025 season for the Miami Hurricanes. He was weirdly inconsistent in 2024, more than we thought. He still had a pretty big year with some big numbers with 3,500 yards and 28 touchdowns, but he also threw for 12 interceptions and his completion percentage took a huge step back. But he will be playing against some weak ACC defenses. Georgia had a gauntlet schedule last year. They played some really good defenses. He will have a great offensive system to work with at Miami. I think he'll be a step back from Cam Ward, but he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the nation. And I do have Carson Beck at number 7. I think he'll be just fine in that offense. At number 6, I have Texas quarterback Arch Manning. I'm not going to rank him any higher. I think he's still a bit overrated. He was a part-time quarterback for Texas in 2025. He did have some good showings and stepped up when Texas needed him, but he did struggle when he played a good defense in Georgia. That Texas offense could certainly use Manning's running ability, though. He's a good dual-threat quarterback, and he's a former 5-star. In 2025, he will be the leader of that offense, and he has some great weapons returning to throw to. He'll be a fascinating player to watch, but he has all the physical tools, and I think it will be very interesting to see what he can do in Week 1 at Ohio State. That will be a development game. A lot of people rank Arch Manning higher, but I can't. I only have him at number 6 for now. At number 5, I have Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik. There were very few players who made a jump like Cade Klubnik did last year. He had an excellent season, and it led to Clemson winning the ACC and having a pretty solid season. They definitely overperformed expectations. After a disappointing opener over Georgia, Klubnik really took it to the next level with Garrett Riley's second season as the offensive coordinator. Klubnik threw for 36 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, and he added 7 scores on the ground with nearly 500 rushing yards. Klubnik will enter the 2025 season with a lot more experience and one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. He really cut back on turnovers last season, and he took a major step forward when there was a lot of people doubting him. I do think he is a top 5 quarterback, and I have him at number 5. At number 4, I have Penn State quarterback Drew Aller. Last season, he really overexceeded expectations, I'd say. I wasn't too high on him, but I'd say 2024 was a successful year for him with the new offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki. This Penn State team was a field goal away from going to the national championship, and Drew Aller was a pretty good quarterback for them. Penn State has not figured out the wide receiver position, but Aller still had a great year, and I think that's impressive. But with another year under Andy Kotelnicki, I think he could develop his game even more. And if he gets a wide receiver or two to throw to, this offense could be pretty dangerous because they return all 5 starting offensive linemen and their top 2 running backs. I'm pretty high on Drew Aller. He cut back on turnovers last season, and I think he's a bit underrated. I do have him at number 4. At number 3, I have South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. I believe he will be a top 3 quarterback because dual threat quarterbacks are taking over college football today. And I think LaNorris Sellers has the potential to put up a Heisman season next year with another year of fully starting for this team. As a redshirt freshman, he threw for 2,500 yards and 18 touchdowns. He was very consistent, completing 65% of his passes, and that was higher than people expected. He really is a danger to defenses with his dual threat ability, and he's a nightmare to tackle when he gets outside of that pocket. He ran for 674 yards and 7 touchdowns, and this South Carolina team is on the rise. LaNorris Sellers really helped them rise last season. And they return a bunch of production next season and got some big-time portal additions. I think LaNorris Sellers will be a potential Heisman winner, and I have him at number 3. At number 2, I have Florida quarterback DJ Lagway. I am very high on DJ Lagway. His numbers do not stand out from last season, but he had a lot on his shoulders, and he didn't start the full year. He was really in and out, but when he was fully into his game, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. There was a lot of pressure on this Florida team, but DJ Lagway stepped up as a true freshman and elevated that offense. And this team ended up winning a bowl game and having a solid season, and Billy Napier kept his job. DJ Lagway was a big reason for that. DJ Lagway is a former 5-star, and he will now be heading into a full spring of practice in his first full year as a starter, and I think that's huge. Florida is near the top of the country in return and production, and Lagway has some elite throwing ability. I think if he can be consistent, he will be a top quarterback and lead this team to the playoffs. He's a great dual threat quarterback, and I have him at number 2. And lastly, at number 1, I have LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. It's only fitting to put an LSU quarterback at number 1. They've had 2 Heisman quarterback winners over the last 10 years in Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow. And I think Garrett Nussmeier is going to cut back on turnovers next year and be the best quarterback in the nation. He threw for over 4,000 yards last season. And they add 2 4-star receivers out of the portal in Barian Brown and Nick Anderson. This offense should be very good, and I expect Garrett Nussmeier to develop his game even more with another full year of starting. He was really good in 2024 despite an offensive line that did not live up to the hype. And the receiving corps took a big step back last season, but Nussmeier definitely performed to his fullest. And he had a completion percentage of 64, which wasn't bad. I expect him to take that completion percentage to another level. And this team could be a playoff team. They have the number 1 transfer portal class. And I think they have a great leader and the best quarterback in the nation in Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback. And I do have him at number 1. But anyways, that is going to do it for my top 10 quarterbacks for the 2025 college football season. You guys let me know what you agree with or disagree with down in the comments below. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel, so definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.